Richard, did you want to ask a question before I... Nomsa, thank you.
It's related to the previous discussion. On the control group,
Yes.
the experimental group. And I just wanted to say that, sometimes it depends on the purpose of the evaluation itself. If you're not going out there, for example, to prove what the effect of whatever it is was and so on, it may not really be very necessary to build that into your M&E framework or processes. But if you really want to say this cause that, you will be forced, to really have your experimental and your control groups for purposes of doing that correlation of results.
And you've just... Thank you. You've just reminded me of something else. I also do want to make this statement. You're not going to assess or evaluate every project to this extent. So before you all rush off to get control groups now, I just want to make this point. Not all programs are assessed, because it depends on the scale and the cost of the program. So the question is, when we evaluate, and you will see here I've extended, and I use the OECD DAC guidelines for evaluation. Last year I really made an effort to make sure that when we evaluate according to global best practice. So I went to the USAID, I went to the UN, I went to the biggest foundations, the biggest development agencies, and looked for their evaluation frameworks to make sure that we build our practice on global best practice. So you will see here, I've extended my assessment, and I just wanted to share that with you. So apart from effectiveness, I also, of course, look at impact, relevance, sustainability, efficiency. That is the DAC principles for evaluation. But I also look at the appropriateness, the coverage, the connectedness, and the coherence. Because I've learned through impact assessment, which follows after evaluation, that if something went wrong and the intended impact is not reached or achieved, something else is going on. Either the program was designed incorrectly, either you measured the wrong things, either it was the wrong group to start off with. So I've already learned to look at other things. So when I look at appropriateness, I look at the appropriateness of the design of the program to say that the impact was really as a result of that. So I just wanted to share with you that I've added some other aspects to evaluation. The question with evaluation is always, first for yourself, what do you want to know? Because I think we expect our implementing partners to evaluate everything. But what is everything? And so I want you to just consider the following. Not all organizations and not all programs are ready to be evaluated. So as a practitioner, you have to consider the readiness of your project to be evaluated. The second thing is you have to focus an evaluation. It's not everything and the kitchen sink. My concern is always NGOs spend so much time in writing these reports. They send it through very diligently, because if they don't, they're not going to get the next tranche of money. What do you do with it? Do you really interpret it? Do you really interrogated? And do you really share that knowledge amongst practitioners? Let me give you an example. So for the program that we've been speaking about the 2,000 teachers, your colleague next door is busy with a access to primary healthcare project. Their evaluation report has just come in as well. Do you share amongst each other? Now that was a different NGO, you sitting with a different NGO. We're talking about two completely separate portfolios, two completely separate programs. But the one is an international NGO and the other one is a grassroots organization. Can you just imagine the learning, the knowledge to be gained and shared in that experience? And my concern is, as evaluation reports come in, we just make sure that all the columns and templates are filled in, and then based on that, we as the program manager write a little summary. The program is on track, and we submit that to the CEO of the foundation, who submits that to the Social and Ethics Committee. Where's the learning? Where's the knowledge? So I just want to make that point as well. Richard, you wanted to ask a question. Right, oh, okay. And then, of course, be very sure, if something went wrong in your program, let's take the transport issue again. Then you've got to make sure next time in your evaluation template or with the next round of evaluation that's going to take place in the next 6 months, because remember, we can probably measure the impact of our program, the intervention we had with the teachers only in the December exams, right? So what we need to do is in that evaluation, probably the end evaluation or the closeout evaluation, we need to make sure that they include the following things. So they have to send a questionnaire to all the teachers in September and ask, for instance, what was the best part of the program? What did we do wrong? What did you learn? What would you like to learn more of? How can we make the intervention better? So not every evaluation is a standard evaluation, and you will only know that if you interrogate the results of the evaluation. So the second focus for the second evaluation is to get feedback from participants or insights and lessons learned. And that's going to be the focus of the second evaluation. So every evaluation is also different. It's not standard. So I just want to spend a little time about the supporting roles of monitoring to evaluation to impact assessment. So monitoring is really, as I said to you, focus on the activities of a project or a program. Okay? It's like the project, the checklist of the project management plan, if I can use a different language. It links the activities, for instance, to budgets. We've spent 20,200 Rand for the 200 workshops on the 2,000 teachers. It's those kind of data that you're tracking. It translates the outcomes to the performance matrix or the performance of the activities that you're running right now. And then it reports on the progress of the project as it's being managed and implemented. That is the role of monitoring. Nothing more, nothing less. When you look at evaluation, evaluation now interrogates the dream you had, the objectives you had, the vision for change that you had. Did you achieve that? Right. It assesses these causal pathways. It assesses the effectiveness. As I said to you, the effectiveness, the program didn't work because the effectiveness was impacted by the lack of transport. It tests the efficiency of the design. We forgot to include transport, we forgot to include stipends, and therefore the impact was either negative or indirect or short-term only. it focuses on the unintended results. Very few people actually pay attention to unintended. Let me tell you, if your program objective was to capacitate 2,000 maths teachers, that was the primary objective. The unintended impact could have been the children. Any other impact that you could have? Impact on the parents. Thank you very much. Thank you so much for saying that. Let me just make this point very clearly. In the last 6 months, the negative unintended consequences of education funding has been detrimental. Capacitating teachers lead to teachers leaving teaching. I just want to make and I've got the evidence for it. So I'm just saying, what are your evaluation report now going to say? So if you do an evaluation in June of that year, 2 days after the camp, everything's beautiful. And when we want to go back now in December to actually now measure the effectiveness of our intervention, they're no longer there. What do we do now? So I'm just saying, we're so focused. The first thing that your program must achieve, I call it the primary objective. I always try and highlight primary, secondary, and tertiary to kind of weed out unintended or indirect kind of impact, because then that means it's an addition to. But the primary objective must always be achieved. The question, therefore, in evaluation is, did you achieve that? And then the second question is, and that's why I want you to anchor your evaluations. It depends on what time as well. So not only how do we know that in the control group, how can we ascribe it to you, but also it depends. So I want you to understand the consequences of when you look at information, when you interpret information, and when you report on information. Now, what are you going to say to the Social and Ethics Committee now? Because in July, you told them, you know, everything went amazing. They had a beautiful time. Here's the pictures at Sun City. You know, we don't want to just have the pictures of the waves, but here they were working on the grass in their little books. That was the evidence you submitted. And now here come December, and it's the bomb that drops. 2 million rand later, 12 months later. Crisis in education. I'm just saying, when we I just want to preempt that you're not going to just get good news. Thank you very much. You have to. And that's what I'm saying. Up until now, we just sent out the request for proposals. I want to work in education. I just want to work in maths. You know, there's this big need to educate, and because we don't have mathematicians. And so we can't just focus on the learners, we must focus on the teachers, and then we do it. And then it doesn't work. So do you understand my issues with education development at the moment? And I've got another big issue here which I have to come clean on. It's because we're not sharing this information. How many of you make public your evaluation reports? Guys, so here's the thing. So this year, Old Mutual funded the maths intervention. Next year, Liberty is going to fund it. The year after that, Old Mutual is going to fund it. 6 million rand, 3 years later, And now we can't even find 2,000 teachers every year to train because they're gone. Because in the meantime, the policy has also changed. You don't have to take maths anymore to pass matric. Just saying. So I'm just saying. So we develop in a vacuum. So I'm just saying. Can you understand here what I'm saying is by like, no, it's like, I don't want to like, we're not going to talk about this. Do you understand the negative impact, the negative consequences, the unintended consequences of your decision not to share?